Good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News with me, Ishan Russell, and these are the headlines that we're tracking. Russian President Vladimir Putin hosts dinner for Prime Minister Modi. Both leaders hold informal talks. Modi says talks fruitful. Summit-level talks slated for today. Parliament adjourns sine die. Rajya Sabha loses 55 hours to opposition disruptions. Lok Sabha works for 115 hours, passes 14 bills in the winter session. BJP suspends Kirti Azad indefinitely for anti-party activities. Azad says suspension unfortunate, says he's only fighting corruption and the Prime Minister must intervene. Pakistan proposed dates for Foreign Secretary level talks, says it's waiting for India's response. New Delhi announces next envoy to Islamabad, Gautam Bambawale, to take charge soon. And Russia rejects human rights watchdog Amnesty International's report of its airstrikes killing scores of civilians in Syria. Moscow says the report is a complete lie. First story this morning, Prime Minister Modi held a private talk at the Kremlin with Russian President Vladimir Putin after landing there on a two-day visit. Official talks will take place today. The two leaders touched upon issues of mutual interest of both countries during the meeting. The meeting took place hours after Modi arrived to a red carpet welcome. Putin also hosted a private dinner for Modi. The Prime Minister tweeted after the meeting, met President Putin and discussed India-Russia ties. The meeting was fruitful. The summit meetings that will be held today will be the second with Putin, who had travelled to New Delhi last year for the 15th India-Russia summit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi landed in Moscow on Wednesday evening. Accompanying him were NSA Ajit Doval and a delegation that includes Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar. Modi's first official engagement was a banquet that Russian President Vladimir Putin hosted in his honor. Before leaving for Moscow, Modi said despite India's growing clout in the world market, its relations with Russia have not changed, and it still remains the largest supplier of defense equipment in India.
We have a very special and privileged strategic relationship with Russia, and this has really spanned key sectors such as defense, nuclear cooperation, space. And at the last summit, both leaders had given a lot of attention to expanding the economic pillars of our relationship.
On Thursday, the CEO forum of both countries will hold talks and address a joint meeting. Before this, the Prime Minister will have a summit meeting with Russian President Putin. Changes in the United Nations Security Council are also likely to be discussed at the meeting.
We don't at all doubt the Russian commitment to see India as a permanent member. And I can tell you, even when External Affairs Minister was in Moscow, if you recall, I mean, it took up a considerable portion of the discussions with Foreign Minister Lavrov. I expect that this would be a continuing subject of discussion.
Both leaders are expected to hold talks on economic and political issues. A key point on the agenda will be the declassification of files of Subhash Chandra Bose. Another highlight of Modi's trip will be his address to the Indian community and a visit to the Russian Center for National Disaster Management Process.
There is a complete roadmap on nuclear cooperation between the two countries. But there are concerns on defense purchase in both the countries. And that is why they are trying to diversify their trade relations in areas other than defense. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha Television with camera person Dharmendra.
And let's go across to our correspondent Akhilesh Suman, who's been tracking all the developments as far as this visit is concerned. And Akhilesh, as far as India and Russia are concerned, the historic nature of the ties certainly indicates that a new impetus will be given at these annual summit talks.
Yeah, naturally there is a difference of opinion on one thing, that is the question of defense purchases, because India India has diversified its defense purchase mechanism, and it is also buying from Israel, it is buying from America, it is buying from France and many other Western countries that were traditionally not exporting weapons to India when India was upcoming on the horizon of the world. So now Russia has some problem, some grudges against this. But India's whole strategy is to keep Russia politically on board and also to diversify its trade relations with Russia so that the whole economic sanction that has put against Russia can be meted out with this type of relationship. And that is why in this summit level meeting, they will be talking about the Make in India process of helicopters from Russia. They will also talk about the missile system that Russia has recently given to China, the same type of missile system India wants, and that can be a big boost for Russian economy in the coming days. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And also, as far as defense manufacturing is concerned and Prime Minister Modi Make in India initiative, Akhilesh, you just mentioned about the helicopter deal. And there are other things that the cabinet has also cleared over here in India so that those deals can be finalized. In terms of the business end of the delegation, there are a lot of trade representatives who've gone. So do we see a boost in ties as far as trade is concerned?
Yeah, naturally, India has a big time opportunity in Russia now because Russia has been facing the question of situation of sanctions from Western world. Many of the Western countries are not exporting anything to Russia, and even after the relationship with Turkey has gone sour in the last 1 month, Russia has been importing many agriculture products, food items from Turkey. And now this is a good time for India that it can export all those items that has been coming from Western countries and Turkey, and that can now go from India to Russia. And in that way, I think Russia will also mete out the whole problems that is coming out from the sanctions and the trade relations that has been targeted up to $30 billion in next 10 years, and also investment up to $30 billion in next 10 years. So I think India and Russia have a very ambitious plan about themselves, and the whole confidence that they had earlier, and that has been shaken because of the interference of the Western world, also because of our own ambitions in the world, and also because Chinese and Pakistanis have started having some sort of closeness with Russia. But I think that the relationship between India and Russia is so deep and so deep-rooted that these factors are hardly going to impact.
All right, Akhilesh, we'll leave it over there. But thanks very much for joining us this morning and helping us understand what we can expect from this big visit of Prime Minister Modi to Russia. Moving on now, the winter session of Parliament that started on the 26th of November was adjourned sine die on Wednesday. But during the entire session, the Rajya Sabha lost 55 hours to disruptions by opposition parties. It was scheduled to work for 112 hours during the session. On the other hand, the Lok Sabha worked for 115 hours, an hour more than its scheduled 114 hours. The conduct of the opposition, led by the numerically strong Congress, came up for some stern comments from Rajya Sabha Chairman Mohammad Hamid Ansari.
3 weeks back, on December 1, the Rajya Sabha solemnly committed itself to the principles and ideals of the Constitution. A functioning legislature is an essential concomitant of these principles. Disruptions amount to their negation. The record of this session belies this commitment in good measure. The Chair appeals to the honourable members, 1, to introspect on this state of affairs, 2, to desist from approaches and practices that demean the stature of the Rajya Sabha, and 3, urges them to make the fullest possible use of the instrumentalities of accountability and discussion available to them under the rules of procedure.
On the last day of the winter session, the Rajya Sabha passed 4 bills without discussion, but the members of the left parties objected to this and staged a walkout. Here's a look at the proceedings on the last day of the winter session.
The last day of the winter session saw 4 bills being passed by the upper house of Parliament without discussion. When proceedings began at 1 p.m, Deputy Chairman P.J. Kurian took up the Commercial Courts, Commercial Division and Commercial Appellate Division of High Courts Bill 2015 and the Arbitration and Conciliation Act Amendment Bill 2015 for consideration and passing. Congress member T. Subbarami Reddy did not move the statutory resolution on these 2 bills, indicating the main opposition party's willingness to get them cleared. However, However, the left parties objected to the bills being passed without discussion.
No, not moving. You are not moving.
Not moving.
Yes.
We all agreed very minimal time for discussion.
Yeah.
Discussion. So let us not set the precedent of passing.
I have already said.
Can you pass bills like this, sir? It is for you.
You know everything.
It is for you.
You know more than me.
I have strong reservation. I have strong
yes, I know.
objection, sir.
Soon after, two more bills, the Atomic Energy Amendment Bill 2015 and the Payment of Bonus Amendment Bill 2015 were also passed without discussion. However, some members sought a few clarifications.
This bill is proposing that government have a 51% cap on all new nuclear projects which are set up as joint ventures. Does this mean that private companies also will be included?
It is only for the private sector companies and
Public sector?
Sorry, public sector companies, not for the private sector.
Yes.
However, the opposition raised objections to the Sugar Cess Amendment Bill 2015, which was certified as money bill by the Lok Sabha Speaker.
मालिकों को मदद करने वाले सारे के सारे प्रोविजन है 10,000 करोड़ रुपए आप पहले दे चुके मैं चाहता हूं इस पर बहस होनी चाहिए आई एम हियर टू अपोज द शुगर सेस
Fines for the cess for the consumer. Yeah. Is it fair or not? It is not fair.
The main dues problem has been that you had farmers cane dues which were 21,000 crores which have now significantly come down. Now to keep the prices at a level that the farmer can also be paid is the principal object. Now this cess entirely goes into the consolidated fund in the first instance. And therefore every ingredient under Article 110 of a money bill is there. Speaker has certified it as a money bill. We have two options. Either for our failure to take it up, it is deemed to be passed, or we return it as all money bills are returned.
While the Indian Forest Amendment Bill 2012 was withdrawn, the Rajendra Central Agricultural University Bill 2015 was introduced in the upper house on the last day of the winter session. Vishal Daya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
The Lok Sabha was also adjourned sine die on Wednesday. The House discussed the contributions of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar and the commitment to the Constitution during the session. During the session, the Congress and other opposition parties disrupted proceedings on a number of occasions on various issues. But the government managed to get 13 bills passed.
Yes. Lok Sabha had 20 sittings during this winter session. In these, 117 hours of work was done, 13 bills were passed, even as the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Bill was sent to the Joint Parliamentary Committee after the opposition demanded it. Among the bills passed were several related to the financial reforms agenda of the government.
भारतीय मानक ब्यूरो विधेयक 2015, उच्च न्यायालय और उच्चतम न्यायालय न्यायाधीश वेतन सेवा शर्त संशोधन विधेयक 2015, वाणिज्यिक न्यायालय उच्च न्यायालय वाणिज्यिक प्रभाग और वाणिज्यिक अपील प्रभाग विधेयक 2015, माध्यस्थम और सुलह संशोधन विधेयक 2015 और राष्ट्रीय जलमार्ग विधेयक 2015.
Besides the legislative business, several short-duration discussions on issues as varied as floods, drought and rising intolerance were held under Rule 193. During the debate on intolerance, there were heated arguments from both the opposition and treasury benches. CPIM's Mohammad Salim and BJP's Virendra Singh were particularly in the news for their comments during the debate. Price rise was also discussed. However, this discussion was incomplete.
नियम 193 के अधीन अविलंबनीय लोक महत्व के विषय अर्थात देश में असहिष्णुता की घटनाओं से उत्पन्न स्थिति, देश के कई भागों में बाढ़ की स्थिति, देश के विभिन्न भागों में सूखे की स्थिति और मूल्य वृद्धि के बारे में 4 अल्पकालिक चर्चाएं, इनमें से मूल्य वृद्धि पर चर्चा पूरी नहीं हो पाई है.
The winter session saw the Congress party in an aggressive mode. The party raised the intolerance issue first. The Congress also focused on vendetta politics and corruption. They found support in Trinamool Congress, left parties and other opposition parties on a number of occasions. Among the opposition, the Congress party was able to register its presence despite its paltry strength. Shyam Sundar's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And the BJP on Wednesday suspended Kirti Azad for his corruption allegations against Finance Minister Arun Jaitley in DDCA affairs. However, Azad will continue as a Lok Sabha MP and will continue to be under the whip of the party. This comes after the Delhi Assembly set a commission of inquiry over the alleged irregularities in the Delhi cricket body. Meanwhile, former top cop KPS Gill has now dragged Finance Minister to the Hockey India affairs as well.
वो पैसा गया कहां? यही तो मैंने पूछा था. और अगर मैंने ये पूछ दिया तो मैं बागी हो गया. मुझसे कह दिया गया कि मैं आपसे बैठ करके बात कर रहा हूं.
A distraught Kirti Azad reacting to his suspension. The lawmaker had flouted party chief Amit Shah's request and publicly targeted Finance Minister Arun Jaitley with allegations of corruption in Delhi's cricket body DDCA. The announcement of Lok Sabha MP from Darbhanga, Kirti Azad's suspension for an indefinite period came hours after the winter session of Parliament got over. He is accused of indulging in anti-party activities by playing into the hands of opposition, which disrupted Parliament, demanding Jaitley's resignation in connection with the controversy. However, another disgruntled BJP MP, Shatrughan Sinha, cautioned the party leadership against any knee-jerk reaction.
जो लोग भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ बात कर रहे हैं, उनकी हौसला अफजाई होनी चाहिए. बेदाग छवि कर रहे हैं अभी तक अरुण जेटली. इतना बढ़िया उनका नाम रहा है, इतना बढ़िया उनका काम रहा है. अडवाणी जी के पथ पर चलकर वो आगे बढ़ें और आगे उभर कर सामने आए, तो मैं समझता उनके लिए भी, भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लिए और भारतीय राजनीति के लिए भी बहुत अच्छा.
Kirti Azad says he expects Prime Minister Narendra Modi to support him since he is just fighting corruption. Earlier on Tuesday, Prime Minister Modi had defended Arun Jaitley, saying that he would come out with flying colours in the Delhi cricket body controversy. Jaitley has sued leaders of Aam Aadmi Party, including Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, over their allegations against him of corruption in the DDCA, but he has not taken Kirti Azad to court.
बिल्कुल सही है, पार्टी के डिसीजन सही है. लॉयल पार्टी मेंबर का एक वे ऑफ बिहेवियर होता है, एक तरीका होता है. पार्लियामेंट्रियन आप है, एमपी है, एक तरीका होता है कहीं ना कहीं, और वो एक थिन लाइन नहीं है, काफी मोटा लाइन है. कहीं ना कहीं उन्होंने उस अप्रोप्रिएशन को उन्होंने ब्रेक किया है.
दे सस्पेंडेड राम जेठमलानी जी, दे सस्पेंडेड कीर्ति आजाद, एंड द नेक्स्ट ऑन द लिस्ट इज शत्रुघ्न सिन्हा. दे डोंट लाइक पीपल हु आस्क क्वेश्चंस ऑन करप्शन. They like people involved in corruption.
In this new BJP, either you fall in line or you fall out. This is autocracy. There is no democracy in BJP. And these people are absolutely autocrat. If you don't behave according to them, you will be thrown out.
Meanwhile, banned Indian Hockey Federation President KPS Gill has urged the Delhi government to probe into Jaitley's conflict of interest in the national hockey body Hockey India. Gill has alleged that Jaitley appointed his daughter Sonali as a counsel when he was a member of Hockey India League's advisory board. Hockey India has rubbished the allegations. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Time for a quick break. Lots more on the other side. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching the Breakfast News. Now, Pakistan has said that it has proposed to India the middle of January for Foreign Secretary level talks between the two sides to discuss all outstanding issues. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's Foreign Affairs Advisor Sartaj Aziz said, and I quote, Pakistan is now waiting for India to respond to the proposed dates. The peace process between the two sides was revised this month when External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj visited Pakistan to attend the Heart of Asia conference. The revived comprehensive dialogue will include talks on peace and security, Kashmir, Siachen, Sir Creek, Buller Barrage, Turbul Navigation Project, economic and commercial cooperation, counter-terrorism, narcotics control and people-to-people exchanges. The National Security Advisors of the two sides will discuss terrorism as a separate track, but under the new arrangement. Senior diplomat Gautam Bambawale has been appointed as the next High Commissioner to Pakistan. He is currently India's envoy to Bhutan. An IFS officer of the 1984 batch, Bambawale will replace TCA Raghavan, who is retiring at the end of this month. The External Affairs Ministry said Bambawale is expected to take up his assignment shortly. Significantly, he will take up his posting within days of the two countries deciding to re-engage under the bilateral comprehensive dialogue. The foreign secretaries of the two countries are also scheduled to meet next month to discuss modalities of the same. Bambawale has worked in Germany, the United States and China. In 2007, he became the first Consul General of India in Guangzhou, China. Before taking up the posting in Bhutan in 2014, he has held charge of Joint Secretary East Asia in the ministry headquarters from December 2009 to July 2014, responsible for relations with China, Japan and South Korea, among others. It was the most polluted day of the year in Delhi on Wednesday, with the authorities recording the highest level of suspended particulate matter at PM 2.5 and PM 10, taking the air quality to a severe category across the city. According to the System of Air Quality and Weather Forecasting and Research India, the 24-hour average of fine particulate matter was 295 micrograms per cubic meter. Anything over 250 is considered severe. Sabha's chief project scientist, Gufran Beg, said that the possible reason for such a huge jump include a rise in pollutants from the Indo-Gangetic plains and a substantial rise in open biomass in Delhi and its surrounding areas. Both PM 2.5 and PM 10 levels are expected to remain severe on Thursday, but with wind expected on Friday, it is likely to improve the air quality considerably. Time for us to take a look at the events that are lined up in the day ahead. It's the second day of Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi's two-day visit to his parliamentary constituency Amethi. On Wednesday, Rahul had kept up his tirade against the Narendra Modi government. He said that Achhe Din has come only for the Prime Minister and not for the Aam Aadmi, who are groaning under unprecedented price rise. Gandhi added his party would strongly fight the BJP and its communal and divisive politics across the country. This is Rahul's first visit to his constituency after he secured bail in the National Herald case. It's the 52nd raising day of the Sashastra Seema Bal. Home Minister Rajnath Singh will inspect and take the salute of the parade at Ghitorni in New Delhi. The minister will also present the President's Police Medal for Distinguished Service and the Indian Police Medal for Meritorious Service to the awardees of the SSB. There will be demonstration of Daredevil Act by SSB personnel. The SSB Dog Squad will also display their prowess. BCCI's three-member disciplinary panel headed by President Shashank Manohar will meet in Mumbai to decide on the fate of cricketers Ajit Chandela and Hiten Shah. While Chandela was arrested for trying to spot-fix IPL games in 2013 along with his then Rajasthan Royals teammates Shrishant and Ankit Chavan, Mumbai Ranji Trophy cricketer Hiten Shah is accused of breaching the board's anti-corruption code ahead of this year's IPL. The panel has the powers to impose punishment including life bans on the cricketers. With the DDCA at the centre of a political slugfest, the BCCI is meeting to decide whether the upcoming World T20 matches should be held in the national capital. The Delhi High Court has also earlier issued an ultimatum to the State Cricket Association to get mandatory clearances and local civil bodies to host the matches of the prestigious event. Firozshah Kotla in Delhi is scheduled to host 4 games, including the semi-final of the World T20. Some international news now, and a new push by Iraqi forces to retake the city of Ramadi appeared to stall on Wednesday in the face of resistance from the Islamic State fighters, a day after government troops made quick progress towards the center of the strategic city just 60 miles from the capital. Here's more to that.
Iraqi government forces and local fighters on Wednesday entered the second day of a ground offensive against Islamic State militants in the city of Ramadi. Troops attempted to move further into the center of the city, which fell to the Islamic State this spring toward the terrorist group's main government complex.
Even it's very slow, but it's very well organized and very well coordinated between the local Iraqi police, Iraqi army, and the airstrike from the international coalition.
Backed by US airstrikes, ground forces on Tuesday stormed Ramadi, the largest city in the Anbar province. The offensive began Monday night on the edges of the city, and by midday Tuesday, troops had reached its center. Islamic State fighters have been outnumbered in recent battles against Iraqi and Kurdish forces and are using more sophisticated networks of improvised explosive devices, booby-trap buildings and suicide vehicle bombings to supplement their dwindling numbers.
lots of forces has been trained and ready to hold the ground after liberation of the city. This is going to be a great boost for the Iraqi forces' morale and great advance and progress in the fight against ISIS.
Progress is slow, but it's progress nonetheless. The Iraqi government is portraying the battle as the fine push to recapture the capital of Anbar province. The recapturing of Ramadi will provide a major psychological boost to Iraqi security forces, as it will be the second major city to be retaken from Islamic State after Tikrit in April. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
Now, Moscow has dismissed the human rights watchdog Amnesty International's report as a complete lie. The report accuses Russia of indiscriminate airstrikes in Syria, which may amount to war crimes as the number of civilians have been killed. Russia's defense ministry said the report is biased and has no grounds. It also rejected accusations that Russia was using cluster bombs in Syria. Moscow discredited the report, saying they carried out research remotely and they had no way of checking for military targets. Amnesty is also researching concerns about the US-led coalition airstrikes in Syria. Some monitoring groups say the toll could run into hundreds. Time now to take a look at other world stories in World Wrap. A Russian court has ordered the arrest of former businessman and oil tycoon Mikhail Khodorkovsky, accused of ordering the killing of a Siberian mayor. Denying the charges, Khodorkovsky said he feels threatened and is considering applying for political asylum in the UK. He's already spent 10 years in prison on fraud charges, which he says is a politically motivated move as a result of his fierce criticism of Russian President Putin. After days of fierce fighting in Afghanistan's Helmand province, the Sangin district is now almost entirely under Taliban control. Taliban fighters have seized the entire district, including the police headquarters and the main government building. However, the Afghan government has not let up and sent reinforcements. Spain's Socialist Party leader Pedro Sánchez has refused to lend support to interim Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy in the bid to form a new government. After a brief meeting with the Prime Minister, Sánchez insisted Spain needs to change of government. If no coalition is formed, fresh elections in early 2016 can be expected. Despite winning the vote, Rajoy's Popular Party fell short of securing a majority. Time now for all the sports action in Sportsbeat. The Indo-Swiss tennis combine of Sania Mirza and Martina Hingis have been named the 2015 Women's Doubles World Champions by the International Tennis Federation. The pair tallied a total of 9 titles, including Wimbledon and US Open titles, since partnering up in March. Meanwhile, Novak Djokovic and Serena Williams were named the men's and women's singles world champions, respectively. Sania Mirza has also been named captain of the Indian team for next year's Federation Cup by ITA selection panel for the South Asian Games on Wednesday. The selection committee chose a 4-member team for the Asia-Oceania Group I matches in the Fed Cup to be held in Thailand from 3rd to 5th of February next year. The other members of the team are the country's #1 singles player Ankita Rena, national champion Prerna Bambri and Pratna Thombare. Kamran Kaur Thandi has been named the reserve player. Sri Lanka defeated Nepal 1-0 in the opening game of the SAF Championship in Thiruvananthapuram today. Mohammad Rifna scored the lone goal for the Lankans in the last minute of the game. The match was dominated by Nepal, but a defensive glitch in the dying moments of the match proved too costly for the Gorkhalis, as the Lankan Tigers virtually have one foot in the semi-finals. Australian cricketer Steve Smith has been named Cricketer of the Year for 2015 at the ICC Award ceremony in Dubai. Smith became the 4th Australian and 11th overall to win the prestigious award named after Sir Garfield Sobers. He's also become the 7th player to win 2 awards in the same year, as he was also declared the ICC Test Cricketer of the Year. Chelsea are in talks with Major League Soccer franchise Montreal Impact over the future of striker Didier Drogba. Drogba, who signed for Montreal in July, watched Chelsea's win over Sunderland on Saturday with interim manager Gus Hiddink and owner Roman Abramovich. Defending Premier League champions, Chelsea have endured a terrible start to the season, losing 9 of the 17 games to slip to 15th, and last week they sacked their manager Jose Mourinho. Well, that's all from us. Goodbye.